I guess.
Yep,
we're
here.
Yeah.
That's the point.
What it comes down to is welcome to Post League Time. This is LCS analysis show following the LCS. I'm your main host, Scarra. Usually I have a co-host named MarkZ, who is also he was an analyst. He's been a coach with me, and he's also been in the scene for a long time. Today, he's currently not here. He's doing interviews inside Vancouver, at Vancouver. Joining me today, however, is a special guest, an old teammate of mine, KiwiKid. Introduce yourself, Alan.
Hey guys, I'm Alan or KiwiKid. As many people knew me back then, I was like Scarra's old teammate. We played on the same team for like 2 or 3 years. It's been like a long time. I played with the infamous Cutie Pie. I kind of let him down for a little bit. I feel like sometimes he gets brought up here and there, and yeah, I do feel like sometimes a little bad about that. But yeah, I had a really good time with everyone, and that's pretty much it.
All right.
I have no really big accolades, sadly.
Dude, don't worry about it. Me neither. All right. We're going to jump straight right into the game. So today we're going to be talking about the third place match, FlyQuest versus P1, or P1 versus FlyQuest, however way you want to do it. Overall, generally the series was really, really close. It was a 3-2 victory for P1. I was about to say FlyQuest. For P1, and it was kind of, they had both like one-sided games, kind of close games as well, and it alternated people who popped off. So generally, like just about everyone who could perform well did, and who could perform poorly, like kind of perform average to bad as well. And so pretty much the series ran the gauntlet. I'm ready to get started. What about you?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Let's just get into it.
So the first game, we're going to go game by game, is the game where I am reminded that Lilu Kog'Maw exists, and Protect the Kog'Maw is a comp that has seen a lot of play in LPL and in other regions. In North America, has seen almost zero play until this playoffs. What happened in the initial part of the draft is P1 ended up drafting Ivern, Cog, and Jace. And that was really interesting because FlyQuest banned Talon, so one of the 80 picks that they know the other team needed to do, and instead P1, it didn't really matter because P1 just ended up picking Jace in the comp. Did you have anything to talk about for the draft?
Yeah, I bet they kind of regret banning Lucian over Jace instead, because, yeah, what's the point of banning Talon if P1 just going to play Jace? Because the point is, you might as well ban everything out if you can. That's all I really saw that came out. Arrow's usually more known for playing like kind of playmaking ADCs or like including like poke, but I guess he surprised Fly with the Cog.
Yeah. This game is actually a disaster for FlyQuest. So P1 was just really normal route, and then normal game, and then at 9 minutes, Moon invades topside jungle, and it gets collapsed on, and it gets turned 3-0. And at this point, I think FlyQuest comp isn't that bad. Like, it's a comp where if it's even or ahead, they can definitely get the picks onto the other team, because P1 really doesn't have much initiation, and it's really dangerous for COD comps to step up onto Syndra. Like, Syndra will just blow open anyone who's there if they have no frontline, and P1 really didn't have much frontline in this comp. So this comp performs well when it's like even or ahead, and FlyQuest is the same thing. So unfortunately, because of the top lane 3v3, 3-0, which is just like super tragic, P1 essentially gets the lead, and they just run with it. Like, they take this lead, they go down bot, they get another kill, and they break people out of lanes, and it's actually just like a massacre.
Yeah, both teams have like really good team fight. I'd say P1 kind of edges it out, but the mid game snowballing potential that Fly is supposed to get with like a Nautilus Graves onto a Rumble should just explode the game. It just never happened, as you saw, as Scarra said, with the level or the minute 9 invade just kind of set the tone for the whole game, and unfortunately they just kind of slowly crumbled over it. I wouldn't say like none of the games were really a big stomp.
One of the things I have to point out is that in a lot of these series, like, they'll choose to target High, and so when you think about FlyQuest, High is like the big deal, the guy who gets all the action started, and this is one of the series where, like, yeah, High had multiple games where he started at 0-3, and this is one of the games where crap, like, they sent a lot of pressure mid lane. He started really negative, and it impacts his team because, like, if you're shot calling from a losing position, it is multiple times harder than shot calling from an even or ahead position. Like, that's the easy stuff. What really defines a good shot caller is how they can win the game when they're losing and they don't have any options.
Yeah, you can just see High kind of just crumble, and you'll see for the rest of the series that they realize it's a really big mid versus mid matchup. It's whoever can have the freedom of the lane and then the map.
one of the things that you start to notice as the series progresses is Zig is actually a monster. And throughout the entire year, I've been calling Zig like a role player. This guy is just filling in the role of his team. He's doing it very, very well. He's the best role player in LCS. However, this is a series where I kind of feel like he was just like carrying a lot of the situations. This game is no exception. I thought that his Rumble was exceptional, and he ended up just like hard carrying the game after the top lane scrap. You see some great ultis and just good team fighting by him overall.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned Zig. He's become such a great player. He holds his own against every top laner at the very least. So you see him like running with the game 5. Well, we'll get to that later, but he's just a great player.
Yeah, I think
solid.
I think this is the season where like a lot of people have breakout seasons. So a lot of people attribute this season to be Moon's breakout season. Before his other seasons, he played pretty bad, and he's been kind of like a scrim player. I think Zig wasn't that good last year. It's not like he played well, he was hidden. It was more like he kind of put himself out there, and he became like a great player starting this season. Like this is his breakout year, in my opinion, or breakout split.
All right, let's go to game 2.
Yeah.
Game 2, we see Fly kind of taking over the COG comp. They first pick Ivern, which you see is super smart. I think with kind of how passive both supports I feel are, they know that bot lane just kind of will become into a farm lane, and just playing for that mid-game team fight with a super strong Ivern kind of just seals the deal for a lot of the game. I really like the Talon pick upon High. He's super comfortable with that pick, and you see he even goes Mobies. He doesn't care about the lane. He knows kind of exactly how much what he needs to do for the mid lane to push out and kind of take over the game. And oh yeah, was that the game?
It's a game where they did the lane swap.
Yeah, that was the game with the lane swap. Oh my god!
All right. Before we get into that, do you have anything else you want to talk about for the draft? It's like you like Did you like them taking away the COG comp? Do you think that was like an important thing for them to take away?
I think more important was the Ivern pick. But I guess Ivern doesn't shine that much with COG. I won't act like I know much about Ivern. I have not been playing that much with Ivern, and kind of in general. So I'll let Scarra take some of the draft part up.
Oh,
what do you think?
I think it's Ivern against Kha'Zix has always been like a good matchup for the Ivern.
Okay.
So when you're trying to counter Ivern in draft, it's actually really funny because the first draft came out, the other team first picked Graves, and then in return P1 picked Ivern. That's a bad Ivern draft. Like that's a thing where Graves would just like push his shit in the first like early game and take full control of the jungle, and you see that a lot of times. Like Rainover did it throughout the entire split, and it's just a situation where like that's a match where you don't want to take. This is a matchup where Ivern typically wants to have, as opposed to stuff like Graves or Rengar. Ivern likes to be against Kha'Zix because he's kind of like those other he doesn't get dominated as much early game, and during team fights like Kha'Zix can't do anything into Ivern, especially if they have no like super strong form of initiation. And in this situation they had the okay amount. They had Jhin, they had Syndra. I know you were really mad about the Jhin pick. Not very mad, but talk to me why you thought the Jhin pick wasn't very good.
I think Jhin, like no like foul to Shady, or shade to Shady. Have people said that already? Whatever. But he doesn't seem like the most aggressive person, and I think he used to be amazingly shady, so I can't remember playing against him. He could be a lot better now, who knows? But like I said, he's just not aggressive, and Jhin is an ADC that relies on your support to like pretty much lead the lane. And Arrow, I'm sure he's so good, and he usually kind of carries the lane by himself with, you know, he can poke out the other ADC or support with Varus, Ezreal, which I think got banned that game. Yeah, I think that was super smart by Fly to do. And yeah, Jhin, if you just get shoved in without any kind of support trading, they get forced to do really dumb things like swap the top lane as Jhin and try to go for a turret push. And yeah, holy shit, we saw how that came out. They have Ivern he has like a Tibbers with him, and versus COG, so you kind of do the math too. Also, the other bad thing is, I think that game, Rumble was trying to defend, or he was top, while Jhin, CP1 was trying to push against Nautilus, right? So that doesn't seem good to swap into, not only as Jhin versus COG, but into a Nautilus. That seems like really difficult.
Yeah, I thought this was a situation where like P1 just wanted to be proactive and like wanted to do something because they couldn't really take over lane, and so their bot lane randomly swapped top. I actually thought the lane swap was okay. like wasn't too bad at the very beginning. Like, okay, they got one tower and they can back to defend the other one, right? I thought maybe they just wanted to break open the game with Jhin, and it's okay going to mid game. You know, Jhin, Syndra running it down mid. They can find picks that way. It's not that bad. But what they decided to do is they just decided to push it down, and they trade one tower. I don't even think they get the second tier 2 top lane, and they lose 3 towers bot lane, and you're just like, oh my god, they messed up so bad.
So yeah, it was a fat 3-for-1 turret trade, and god, they're already behind. I feel like 5K from just that, and I don't know. That it just probably so demoralized. And I was like, geez, I can't let I have to keep watching this.
While we were talking to each other, like while we were watching the games, you said that you liked this comp into Kog'Maw, for instance. Like you like these Syndra style comps into Kog'Maw. Can you like kind of tell the people why you like these type of comps?
I like the Syndra style team comps because usually just Syndra can delete from the backline if she has someone leading her but you still need turret. Like I think it excels the most while people are still laning, and with the swap like this, it's kind of hard to take advantage of any kind of backline or side flank with Syndra, especially against a Nautilus who's like starting to group. Eventually, the warding that I almost C9 FlyQuest has just allowed Ryu not to do anything. Ryu was like, he was really trying to get those side flanks, but he would either get hooked or just chunked out, and it would just like set them back so much tempo, set P1 back. What else is there?
This just seemed like, oh yeah, FlyQuest just ended up getting a huge team fight in the top side. I think it was a huge team fight mid lane, and they only got 1 kill for it. They ended up taking a kind of a Baron bait, and they ended up getting Baron. And then the biggest problem I had with this game was like once they got Baron, okay, cool, you're behind as P1. Mm-hmm. It's not that big of a deal. You just choose a time to fight. Like the biggest thing when you're behind is you just have to make sure that you see an opportunity, you just take the fight before it gets too bad for you. So yes, the enemy team has Baron buff, cool. But you should still take a fight before both your inhibs get broken, in my opinion. Just commit to it aside and go for it. Instead, they hesitate on both angles, get both inhibs lost, and then when it reorientates back top side, it doesn't even matter if they win the fight. Because at that point, even if they win, they can't get anything out of it. So this is a situation where it felt like they just had poor shot calling, especially at this point, that they couldn't be decisive enough to take the fight.
I wanted to see some kind of like proactive trap play, like on a side brush, and just give up some kind of pushing power, because I felt they just kept getting run over the map by FlyQuest's like slowly map pushing in, and they just kind of fell over. It just nothing they could have done. I really like with like Kha'Zix and Syndra, they had a full damage comp besides Lulu support, of course, and the way to get back in the game is try to burst someone while they're like warding or just trying to push out a lane. But I think FlyQuest did play pretty tight that game, as I remember. So
I think
it's been really hard.
Once FlyQuest got grouped up and they're ahead, like I said before at the very beginning, what does Kha'Zix do in this comp? He can't jump in. He's really terrible at being able to do that. So all he can do is poke down with W, and that's essentially it. He has to wait for a Syndra or someone else on his team to set him up, and they couldn't really do that. So the situation just ended up being Kha'Zix was pretty much a non-factor, and they tried to play. And in that situation, I agree exactly with what you said. When you're behind, one of the biggest things you do is you just wait on the side that they need to run in on and just find a pick somewhere on that side. And so you'll see a lot of good teams do this. I know Fnatic death bushes are called this a lot of times, where either they wait on the side lane or they wait literally on like the bush right side of the mid lane, and they just sit there.
Yeah,
and
I love that. They sit there for like 2 minutes. Like, that shit works so much. I don't know if it still works, but I'm pretty sure it does.
No, it's like a situation. Yeah, it's a situation where you as a team, you can't team fight the other team, and their only objective is if they all reach 5 people in one area, you lose the game.
Yeah.
And so you have to find a way to make it so that you cut them from doing that.
You just want to stall out the game as long as you can, because that's like generally how every like big goal deficit goes. You want to get it from like, even if you keep the deficit from like 30k to 40k, if it becomes 60k to 70k, it's actually really good, because the proportionate difference is, you know, it just gets better as the game goes. I'm sure you guys know. You guys have definitely played games like those where you guys are up like 20 kills to 5 and still lose because people just get picked. And yeah, that's how I feel in Diamond 4.
Okay, but Jesus, man, you're D4? Ugh, alright. I'm pretty much done with this game. Do you have anything?
Hey, come on, what's MarkZ at?
That's
what I thought.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't play the game. You're right. I'm
Yeah.
pretty much done with this game.
I'm pretty much MarkZ, but yellow. Anyways, let's go to game 3. I'm done with the game. Needless to say, FlyQuest did take game 2, so if you weren't sure, there you go.
Before we get into game 3, I want to say that I don't know if I can emphasize this enough. I think Talon is one of Hai's best champions. And the reason why it's really good for him is a couple reasons. One, really, really strong roaming / solo playmaking champion. A champion where even if you're behind, it's really easy to do what the champion wants to accomplish. The old Talon can wave clear as well. So what happens is on Youmuu's buy at level 9 or 10, which would be like 11 minutes in the game, your rake clears backline. So all you have to do is literally rake the backline. He can't walk into the rake because if he gets... Or the opposing mid laner can't walk into the rake because if he does... then he gets double hit and Talon can aggress, and then he always gets first opportunity to look because you just sacrifice the melee minions, like some of them. And so you're losing, at most 3 CS every wave to be able to constantly look for plays. And so I just think this is a perfect champion for Hai and probably his most important and best champion to play currently at the moment. Like every time I see him on this champion, I'm just like, he understands his champion and he understands like how to get his team to work around it. And I think that's just really, really good. And I guess that's why going to game 3, P1 just takes it.
Yeah, P1, they realize how important Ivern is, and being purple side, they want to take it away as much as they can from Moon. Moon has Scarra knows more about the Ivern Rengar jungle matchups more better than I do, but I'm glad that they realized that Ivern was going to be a really big pick for the series. And FlyQuest opened up with Kha'Zix, so how do you feel about that?
I think it's okay. I'm not a huge fan of Kha'Zix right now, but it's definitely something where it's like if all the other OP junglers are out, it's okay if it's like a pick that you're comfortable with. And that's generally something that I think both teams are very comfortable with the champion, both Inori and Moon.
It kind of just seems like nothing too OP is up, so they just kind of took it as just like a filler, almost kind of a filler pick. I know Kha'Zix is generally pretty strong, but yeah, I guess when I look at like how the picks went out, there was nothing too like prioritized that people needed, at least not yet.
One of the strange things about this draft, and something that it's kind of unique, is that there wasn't much Ashe priority in the entire best of 5. And so usually in best of 5s you've seen before, especially in the LCS recently, Ashe gets taken first rotation every game. Yeah. And there's situations where you're first picking Ashe because she's the best blind pick AD. She's viable in every team comp. She has pick potential and has good lanings against everyone in the entire game. And so you see a ton of priority of her across mainly all regions, except for maybe China here that they have a lot of Kog'Maw priority. Okay. And so it's really weird going into the series, and literally they have 0 priority on this champion. Like, I think Ashe was only played on the very last game, and it was like a 5th pick. It was like, oh, well, I guess I'll take this champion when it's like a very, 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 very good pick at the moment. Just something unique to this specific best of 5. The one thing that we should talk about this game is that Hai got Ori. And so, I don't know if you know anything about Hai this season. He's played more Ori games than any other champion. I think he's at 15 right now. Give or take, this guy's considered to be like a pretty good Orianna, which is why he got banned in some of the earlier games. This time they give it to him. They take the Talon response. Talon, by the way, lanes really badly into Ori. This is a champion where you need jungle pressure to even split even on the lane, or else Ori just pushes you into tower and just harasses you under tower. If Ori can do that, you as a Talon player feel like garbage. And that's exactly what happened this game. This is an insane game because from the level 1, this is why level 1s are really important. The level 1 leash won them the entire early game.
Yeah, God, that Malzahar leash, I have never seen that before. That's fucking smart. Just starting, I've played enough to know about the Wraith starts now, and that shit is super good. But I've never seen someone just give it up. That was something that I've been practicing for a long time. That's super cool. I love when teams have something to execute in scrims and actually pull it out, and it was just flawless from there. Moon got like red. I feel like he got it like 2 minutes, and then he just went straight to blue and did a wraparound gank on mid. And Jesus, that guy, I love playing jungle sometimes and getting that fat leash. I'm like, please give me no smite, but this is on another level.
The last time I saw a ridiculous leash like this was, I think, when the Fnatic Academy did the leash, where essentially they had the leash do wolves. They had their bot lane leash Gromp and blue buff for the jungler, and that was the most insane leash I've ever seen. This is a game where this leash matters a lot because it saves about 10 to 15 seconds of the jungler's time, probably about 10 seconds, and it means that he could gank mid at 234 before the mid laner hits level 3. When I saw this, I was actually so upset because as a mid laner, this is like a situation where you're just like, I got cheesed, like 100%. I got cheesed.
That's you straight up cheese. That's like. But it's actually like solid though. So even though the mid lane feels cheese, I feel like it was just really smart. Like if I had MarkZ, I would always start like that as a jungler.
It was super smart. And on top of that, it punishes Talon's ideal play pattern during the lane. Talon wants to shove in because if he gets shoved in, you're
fucked. Like if you're any melee getting shoved in by a Wraith, like even I know this. Come on, like you get your shit kicked in. You're like, man, fuck this game. So just shoving in is super good.
Yeah, and so Talon has the tools to outshove players early because he has a rake that it's AoE, and it can shove in. So as he's shoving in, he set up the wave to win the lane, and FlyQuest just had a great route, like absolutely fantastic route. Snowballed a lane that is already Orianna favored, and Moon just like took over this game. Because after that, it's something that the casters didn't say, but Kiwi pointed out to me was what happened on the Raptors.
What do you mean?
When he stole the camp?
Oh god, yeah. What? Freaking Moon W'd. He stole Inori's full Raptor camp except like one Raptor, I think. Yeah. It was like so. God, it was so good to see. Holy shit. I like got a boner. It was just. Yeah. Kha'Zix's W, full Wraith steal, including the big one. Man, you guys. Please tell me you guys remember this because the way Scarra didn't see it, it makes me feel like I forgot him. Please tell me someone saw that.
Literally what happened was he stole on like the level 4, level 5. Moon went into Raptor camp and W'd and stole the entire Raptor camp, essentially -1. I think he got 100 gold. That's a 100 gold swing in the jungle matchup that he's already winning.
All right, somebody saw it. That's good.
Like legit. It was like a situation where
that's just crushing because I think like. A Wraith camp is like the biggest EXP.
Yes, and it's the number one EXP camp in the game.
Yeah. So it's like it's like almost a full level. So and you guys saw how that played out.
Yeah, and so what ended up happening with that opener is Ori's able to just hard pressure the lane, and it doesn't even matter that like P1 was starting to get a lot of pressure in other lanes.
Right, good catch. It was 204 swing plus EXP.
All that ended up mattering was even though P1 got like kind of a big lead, the mid lane ended up getting a 40 CS lead on mid lane, and they rotated mid. I think this is where they rotated mid really early to get the tower. Was it this game or was it the next game?
I think it might have been the next with Ori.
Yes. No. It was the game against Caston. Sorry, it was the 5th game. But this is a game where I think they also got first tower mid as well, which is.
This is just keep wards around mid. Talon can't do anything. Like I don't even remember Ryu ulting that game, except that one fight where we'll get to later that he played pretty well.
Yeah, and on top of this is a situation where like the early game, I'm like an ex-Gragas player. I used to play this champion a lot, and Nori's Gragas was terrible. Like starting from the very beginning, you're just like, oh my god, this is so bad. Just look at the top lane dive that he does, and just be like, oh my god, they messed this up so bad. Like I think I typed something or I tweeted something that said that like, wow, this is great, but in all honesty, it was such a mess up by Nori because he like flashed in.
Yeah, you got fucking tilted off that.
Missed it, and like his top is, and because of that, he traded 1-for-1 in a position where Zig, who's playing by the way phenomenally during the series,
Zig was gonna solo kill probably eventually,
or like push him off like at least a wave, and like so Zig is playing phenomenally in this series, and he sets up his jungler for greatness. This is a situation where 100%
every jungler wants this. Like fucking leave your kill to me.
Yeah, and then he just flubs it. It's just he spaghettis and. He's not able to pick up the kill, and it causes their only way to win the game. I think that they could have snowballed through topside or top lane at the very least.
It would have at least got Inori back into the game like pretty solidly.
But what ends up happening is he trades 1-for-1 and it pushes him farther out. And so there was a situation where I think he was even in levels in terms of like 6-6, and then next time you look a minute later, he's 2 levels behind Moon. And Moon just kind of takes over this game with Orianna. Even though Ori missed a lot of shockwaves, it doesn't matter because their early game was so good that they have leniency.
Yeah, they have like they built up a buffer to just fuck up. And it wasn't like any fuck ups where they died. They just kind of solved the game for themselves, but they can still keep the pressure on the map. So it's not that big of a deal. And I would say Moon got outplayed Inori's super hard this game, and that's pretty much. I feel like that's like most of the game right now, especially or most of like League of Legends, how the league should be played around mid laner, and just the jungle right now kind of enables that, and that's how most of the series kind of plays out. You want to just get either Ryu or Hai on versus the other. It's just about that advantage right now.
In this series, also like there's a situation where, and some of that stuff where you're just like, wow, how did that happen? A good example is the dragon, one of the first Infernal Drakes in this game. Kha'Zix goes over and steals when he's 2-0, and against like the pin was worded. It was like such a bad situation for them to try to steal because they didn't have the enough people for it. There's no way they're gonna be able to do it because if they leash it correctly, Kha'Zix can't reach all the way over there to do it.
Yeah.
And it was just like the most random thing. And what ends up happening, if you're watching Inori, is he throws an ulti late after Kha'Zix jumps over. Okay, you can't plan that. He doesn't have vision on the backside. He throws it over, and then as Kha'Zix comes in to Q smiting, he smites early, and he has his W. He doesn't time his W and his smite at the same time because he panics. And so he W's like as the Kha'Zix auto smites it, and he doesn't get a single auto off and doesn't burst the dragon at all. And and this is a situation where it's like they end up getting 5 dragons, 5 quests.
Holy shit!
Like I'm not seeing five dragons in a lot. Like this helped them stabilize their lead to where as they got a bigger and bigger lead. This is a game that was snowballing largely in 5 quests' favor. Eventually, P1 finds a great play. Like Inori finds like a godlike
super double body slam over Red Wraiths. And gets like I think Hai and someone else.
It was High Moon.
Yeah,
he hits them both. They get two man by Zig, or Zig's ulti, and
Ryu and Talon had a really good ult there too. So it was just it couldn't have like played out better. I feel like it was just super good. I said that a lot, but yeah, and unfortunately, just all those dragons add up and the gold, and I believe
the knowledge was just so big.
Balls is so huge. He only had that one death. He was like 3-1-2 at the time. That one death was off. That the little flub up top, but man, he was just unkillable, and you guys just see it. It was like pretty much Maokai version 2 because he just fucked everybody.
He just won 1v4 like during that team fight. Before we get to that point though, something that we wanted to point out was as we were watching the game, Arrow actually is a player who's phenomenal with skill shots. It's something I've said before. During the Varus Jhin meta, Varus was just super good.
Right.
And so one of the things that was like really noticeable is that they picked Ziggs this game.
Right.
And so Ziggs, skill shot dependent, he actually won lane. They did the weirdest rotation made to try to help out their mid laner, and if they didn't do that, they were ahead in CS. Like a situation where Ziggs laning is very very difficult.
Yeah, I feel like Ziggs shouldn't really win lane. Because if he wins lane every time, then he should just be played every fucking game bot because he has crazy scaling, but. Yeah, I think Arrow rotated mid just to try to ult and kill. I think it was the jungler. I think it was for Moon, and they ended up just losing like 2 waves with creeps up bottom, getting set like even to Ezreal. That's what's amazing because he was ahead. He must have been ahead like 15 CS. They lost like 3/4 of the turret damage, and then now it's just even and that's just so bad because Arrow can just hard carry the game with Ziggs. Yeah. If you just get ahead a little bit. All the turrets will be gone because Ezreal's building up the tier, and you can just keep shoving him in, and eventually Ziggs can just take everything after that point.
Something that really made me and Kiwi mad was a lot of ADs would just buy QSS because they think they need it. And so the first game, I'll take by QSS in a situation where there was like 1 CC on the other team wasn't really necessary in Kiwi's opinion, and I also agree. In this game, Arrow bought QSS second. And if you saw, he bought Stork shoes, and then he's like, you know what? That's wrong. I'm gonna sell this and go buy QSS. But their team isn't winning. Like their team is actually like behind, and he's a super long range threat. Like he shouldn't. And he has Lulu and like a lot of stuff to work with to CC the enemy team. He shouldn't be feeling pressured in a situation where he's behind to build defensively. And I understand why he wants to do that, but like imagine if he got his damage items earlier, he could have actually carried this game. He started 2-0 on Ziggs.
Yep.
And if he didn't, like, what did the QSS do for him in the mid lane fight? And if you watch how he fights the mid lane fight, it's actually fantastic. He hits, like, a Q on the backline over the wall. He forces out Ezreal's flash, because as he comes up, he hits him. He hits almost every skill shot there, and if he had more AP or more pen, that was a situation where, like, maybe he could have turned it around more. And so, if you're behind, like, I do not think there's a necessity to buy QSS as much as a lot of these ADs are doing.
Yeah, just think about it like this. It's the equivalent to the same amount as a large rod, and just that little AP boost gets you closer to the item. It's not more about the whole raw item. I'm just trying to get you guys to see that comparison. But just getting, if he had one more item finish, because he might have been off a little bit, that means one less Q for someone he had to finish off, and it could have been applied to someone else. Because you saw he blew Altec's flash then. If Altec would have been lower from anything, he's just dead, and maybe Nautilus wouldn't have cleaned up. Maybe he still would. Who knows? But still, at least it would have been a little even.
I mean, aside from this, the Honori's one fight, I don't have really much else to say. I think they were too far behind at that situation to win the game. Was a great look by him. This would have been like a savior play had he done it earlier in the game, or if they weren't as far behind as they were.
Yeah, it was another great game by Moon. I got to give it to him like I did last game. I thought game 2 and 3 he played so well, and off his kind of back carry from the beginning, FlyQuest takes game 3. So 2-1.
Yep. So we're going into a game that we thought would just be over because we thought that this would be a 3-1 series at this point. And even though I said 3-2 as a prediction from last post league time, obviously my opinions changed during the game. So I guess I could say I didn't have much faith in this series or in this fourth game, but I got proven pretty wrong actually, really wrong. And this is a situation where you're just like, oh my god. Let's first start the draft. So they ended up picking Syndra, the Echo Syndra mid lane matchup, which I have not seen High play much Echo in the first place. Pretty much throughout the entire season, he's pretty much outplayed Ori and Talon. And I think this might have been his first Echo game. I'm not sure on that though. However, this is a situation where he just got hard camp. Like similar to game, I think it was 1 or 2, where I'm just saying, there's just a lot of times where High starts 0-3. This is one of those games where the Elise. By the way, the Elise hit like an insane angle on the mid lane.
The first blood. God, that first blood was so good by Nora. I love when people just
that was a
super confident.
Yeah, that was a situation where as a mid laner, I can understand why he didn't flash because it was because the skill shots are pretty big. I thought it was gonna hit the creep coming up, and it was just so. The timing was so precise, and for them to convert that was ridiculous.
It's so hard to think about what Elise is gonna do in the highest place because he was also stunned by Syndra, so you have to think about that as well. Who the hell is gonna buffer their flash when Elise is a screen away? Like nobody's gonna do that, especially when the wave is coming. So I don't know. In hindsight, maybe you should have flashed, but no, not many people would go for that. But and Inori kind of was shut down game 2 and 3, so you wouldn't think he'd be too confident. But really congrats to him for kind of shaking off, and he didn't seem like he was flustered at all from the past 2 games that Moon kind of bopped him.
Yeah, if he saw that, this game is the Nori highlight reel. But before I proceed, I talked a little bit about the draft. I didn't ask your opinion on it. Did you want anything to say?
Yeah, I want to say something about I guess it's kind of the whole phase. So FlyQuest starts out, why would they not do something that already works? So they pick Kha'Zix. This is where I think P1 was super, crazy smart. I'm going to say stop saying super. They go for something different. So Karma Shen, and I don't know if they realized this, but they kind of forced FlyQuest into picking Lulu and Nautilus instead of before, game 3, picking Nautilus Ori. Since they picked the Karma and Shen, they knew Balls and Lemon could only play Lulu into Karma, only felt comfortable playing Lulu into Karma since Malzahar was banned, and the only thing that Balls pretty much plays into Shen is Nautilus. And I guess they dropped Rumble, so they couldn't pick Ori like they usually do. And then P1, after the first 3 picks were done, they banned both of High's champs. I thought that was super smart, crazy, so smart. I thought that was so smart. I really like that. And yeah, having High on something uncomfortable has been something that teams have been doing for 4 years. So I just really like what P1 did there.
Talk to me about the Twitch. I know I am not huge on Twitch. I don't really know this champion. I know he scales like a monster. You get to 2-3 items, takes over the game. But was Twitch a good pick here? What do you think about this Twitch pick in general?
I feel like it must have been Twitch was picked after Cog, right?
Yeah, he was picked last pick.
Okay, so it must have been something that P1 had been practicing since Cog. Over the years, historically, Twitch has been a counter pick to Cog because COG usually needs someone to babysit him, and Twitch is really good just picking him off. He's a character that with a Karma or any kind of shield carry can do it on alone in like at a very short window of time. You need someone usually with like a speed boost, which is like Lulu Karma. They did have Karma that game, and just going for the backline can be really good. It's a new way to approach how to engage, and they did have Shen, so they did pull off the submarine strat a lot, and I feel like they just by watching how they played, you can tell that they've been practicing Twitch Shen a lot, like a decent amount. It felt really fast, like a lot of the plays were really snappy, and that's what you need as a Shen and Twitch, because if Twitch is just has the Q1 cooldown, the stealth, you kind of just lay there farming, and COG eventually will win out on Twitch if it goes too late. So I really like just the instant Shen ults. I thought some were like too quick, but I was wrong like a decent amount of the time.
Okay, so this is a situation where they're actually playing really well. All over the place. They do a 5-man dive onto. Oh,
for me.
You
yeah, they say I'm mumbling. Hey,
right.
Sorry guys, I'm a mumbler.
All right, so they do a 5-man dive on the bot lane, and this is the most confusing thing because after you do a 5-man dive, the most common thing to do is we're doing this to take first tower. We get double kill, we get first tower. Sick. They got a double kill, and they didn't take first tower, and I was relatively confused by it because they can take first tower and then dragon. Mm-hmm. Nothing stops them from doing that because their top lane isn't going to come down for that. Instead, they just kind of gave us priority, or they gave the other team priority to just like take first tower, and they didn't really get that much.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I always think a turret, even without first turret, sometimes I think it's better than dragon. And yeah, with the new first turret gold, I would thought that's like the no-brainer for sure. It just you can even maybe get both with that clean of an ace, because I think maybe their jungler was topside. So I don't know. I would just always prioritize that. I was confused as well. Oh well, we shouldn't hang around with it too much. Please, if you ever get a double kill bottom, please go for a turret, especially if it's the first one.
Yeah. Generally though, this game is like I said before, a Nori highlight reel. This man took over the game, did a lot of work on Elise, kind of redeemed himself from the earlier games in the series, and was one of the main reasons that they ended up winning this and the next game. And so I don't have too much else to say about this game. They ended up controlling missions, just securing the game, and it was fairly. It wasn't quick, but they had like a ton of kills. It was a situation where like where they ended the game before 40 minutes, so I guess it's relatively quick. But it was a situation where like you're looking at the Syndra, she's 6-0 or something, 7-0. The Twitch is like some ridiculous number. Everyone on the team has like insane KDAs, and it's not possible for the other team to win. They're just struggling and playing really, really safe to close out the game.
Yeah, I'm really glad they played safe, because even if you might not think it, P1, a lot of their champions kind of scale off. Shen, Elise are really just CC bots like when it comes to too late, and they just went for the huge objectives and just powered things down and didn't get too hasty. You can see a lot of people just try to end early, and it kind of backfires because they either don't have a Baron buff or the necessary tank items to power through a inhib turret, which is like usually the hardest thing in the game. There's really nothing harder than getting that the first inhib turret. It's just so difficult. So props to them, and I really want to give them more props to Inori, because I kind of have been like harsh about him the past the game 2 and 3, because Moon kind of took over, but it's safe to say he took over this game for Ryu like Moon did for High.
And something to point out is like when you're the losing team and you have to face check vision, because that's what the losing team has to do. If you're face checking into Elise Syndra, good luck, because you will die instantly. And I think this was a game where Lemon just walked into like the Baron side a little bit, poked out at blue buff, and just got one hit instantly by Syndra. Yeah. And so like there's really not much you can do if you're in this position. I think the final time where we were just like I thought FlyQuest maybe had a chance was the top lane fight, and then I didn't see Ryu that fight, and he came in, one hit the Lulu, one hit, and then like one hit someone else, and I was just like, oh, I guess they didn't have a chance this game at all.
I fucking hate that, dude. I know more than anyone else how I was like to get QR'd.
Yeah, so Syndra, if you're ahead of Syndra,
fucking Bergson. Oh god,
If
I
you're-
can't. God, that fucking TSM. Oh god. Oh god, that TSM game. It'll never leave me.
But yeah, if you're an under-leveled support and you have to check areas by yourself, or even with a front line, like you're gonna get one hit, and it's not gonna feel.
I love picking out support. Try like I said, I don't want that. It's so good. Right now they're kind of just shield bots for ADCs, and just taking that away is the best. Every time I tell people to dive bot lane, I think the best thing to do if they have a shield support is to kill that one first, because usually the support will always hold their shit. Like Lulu, for example, will hold ult to save the ADC, and ADC sometimes can live or it'll get turned, but nobody really thinks about protecting the squishy support, and there's honestly not much you can do too. So you got to think about like that. You got to think about the whole thing as a health pool. But,
Okay.
All right.
This game, I'm good. You good?
Yeah, it's up to Nori again, and we go to game 5.
And game 5, you go for a wild ride because LeBlanc has been banned or not looked at the entire series, and
we finally get a game 2. P1's on blue side,
and this is the first time where P1 decides to take blue. While we're looking at this game, Kiwi at the very start of the day was just like, dude, I think Ryu's such a phenomenal mid laner. Like, he's like pocket Ryu nonstop to me. I think he's pretty good too. But then one of the examples he says is like, dude, his LeBlanc, I don't know how many people could do what he can do on LeBlanc. And I'm just like, are you sure, man? And so we got this game, and I was like, oh, perfect. Great testing ground, because FlyQuest had the Kassadin pocket pick the counter. For anyone who doesn't know, High's picked Kassadin for as long as I can remember. If you're from seasons 2 and 3, you are a Kassadin player, because at some point you had to play that champion if it was up.
Yeah, you had to play it. You just had to always play
If it was up, you had to pick the champion.
Jesus, that camp was crazy.
Yeah, so they had. Let's start at the draft. Obviously, one team gets LeBlanc, the other team ends up getting Kassadin as the counter pick. On top of that, they take Caitlyn over Ashe. I don't really like that. I think it's a comfort. Karma Caitlyn has been a comfort thing for FlyQuest for the entire split, or like a large majority of their games. I think I've seen it like at least 3 different times. However, I think Ashe is just a better champion than Caitlyn. Like, I would rather be down 10 CS but have Ashe ulti to be able to engage and work with your team comp, which has Kha'Zix's Kassadin, which is a terrible team comp to find any sort of initiation for. Assuming balls, like, you're essentially leaving balls on Gragas to find all the plays for you, which is like a large thing to do. Like, ideally having more CC is just better. I think Ashe in general would have been a better pick. Instead, it gets left for the other team who just picks Ashe into the Caitlyn. Cool. And throughout the game, you can see Ashe hitting like a lot of arrows onto the enemy team in situations where I'm like, wow, dude, I wonder what would happen if the other team had Ashe.
Yeah, if you can look at the comps right now, P1, all of their champs can CC. They have LeBlanc, Elise, Lulu, Kled, and Ashe. It's like so CC heavy, and man, Scarra will get to this later and how frustrated he is about High not getting Mercs on Kassadin, but yeah, it's just a crazily loaded CC comp, and as opposed to FlyQuest solo Gragas. And if they really just need more CC. There's not much to say. Kassadin and Kha'Zix sort of play the same role, and when you get set behind, you kind of can't really do anything.
The one thing I want to say is P1 played around Kassadin very well. So Kassadin's early game is garbage. Like, his laning phase is like okay, but he gets shoved in. He can't really do much. He doesn't have wave clear. He's like a champion that when 1v2s existed, you would 1v2 the Kassadin, because this guy can't do anything in return. He throws a Q that does 100 damage, and they like shield for that much, and then they beat you down or take your tower. So what happened at the very beginning? They invaded on the level 1, super smart by P1. Because when you're invading Kassadin, what does Kassadin do on the invade? Oh, I'm going to throw this Q at you. It's going to do 92 damage. And then LeBlanc 2 autos does that. And so like, they invaded the Wraith Camp, cool. And they stole the red, and then they looped back around, and High, who didn't know where they were, ended up getting caught. And when you get set behind in the Kassadin LeBlanc matchup, you do not want to be playing the game. This matchup is already kind of volatile. And it's Kassadin favored, kind of, but it's still like a matchup where, like, if the Kassadin gets rooted or bound or at any point CC'd in the enemy jungler's there, he dies instantly. And as a mobile mid laner who can't wave clear, you're put in that position quite a bit at a time. So he died at level 1, sucked a lot for the enemy team. And then what happened after that? They rotated their bot lane mid lane and just took his tower at like 9 minutes, and that was a play where I was
That's like that was like so standard. It's just what's gonna happen if you're casting and you're behind. I don't know if they could have really done anything about that. At least even wins against Kazakhs early, so they snowballed really well. It was great clinical rotation from the bot lane to get the mid turret, and from there they kind of are able to spread out all of their vision and then kind of inflict the other lanes. So.
Oh, and before we even got to the dive at that point, like the level 1 kind of messed up Moon, but he still stabilized into a situation where cool, he still is level 4 to level 4, and both the junglers meet each other at the FlyQuest Raptor camp. And because Cassian can't control the wave really, LeBlanc shoved him in, was first to roam, kills Moon, and makes it so that the jungle mid matchup is 2-0. And in that situation, what does the other team do? They can't do anything, because when they group up mid lane, if your jungler is behind the enemy jungler, and he's a melee jungler as well, Elise is great at tri-laning. And she didn't have to even show up to be able to get the thing. They just used 3 people. But let's say the jungler showed up. If Elise showed up and they 4v3 the mid tower, both Cassian and
Cassian can't do anything.
They don't do anything on the defense of the siege.
They actually don't do shit. They're so useless.
So, like, this is a situation which only works if FlyQuest is able to stabilize the early game. And unfortunately, P1 exploited the Cassian weakness and exploded out really, really early. On top of this, we're going to talk about a top lane 1v2. But Cled.
Holy shit. Yeah, my God. I don't even know what to say, because, like, I feel bad. Everyone wants to praise Zig, and of course, I do too. He's such a good player, and he's on a signature champion, but come on, like, I don't know if I can really praise Zig that much for that, except for, because let's just play it out. So they get 2v1, he gets 2v1 dove as Kled with, and he's getting dove by Gragas and Kazakhs. Just he got the body slam off. Why can't you just ult? Instead, Balls ults as the Kled dismounts from Scarra, and yeah. I didn't know how long he was invulnerable for, but it's clearly he's like invulnerable, and yeah, the ult just whiffs, and they're like, "Fuck, we really should have gotten this." You know, the tilt just kind of kicks in because it comes from like super free. When something comes so free to just leaving, dude, you're just gonna chase after. Like if Scarra left this room, I would chase after. It's like the same thing, and I probably trip over the stairs and die. So that's pretty much happened to. That's what pretty much happens to them.
They just tripped over themselves in this situation. No, even on top of that, man, the worst thing, at the end of the dive, all right, Kazakhs dies. Gragas has the kill. As he's starting up his auto animation, Balls hits W. And so God. he cancels his auto animation to like try to empower his auto attack, and he dies for it. And it would have been a free kill. I was so
I got
mad.
it right here. Here's my auto. That's pretty much what happened. But yeah, I want to praise like Zig. He kept us cool. You can see he's like, oh shit, the ult fucked up. And the first thing he thinks about, he doesn't try to run away. He actually autos people in like with like 100 health left. He's like, I gotta get Scarra back. Like I know I'm gonna try to trade kills, but eventually he's like, oh shit, I can actually get Scarra back. And you can see his experience with Kled clicking in really quick because I know for sure I don't know how many autos or Qs it takes to get Scarra back, and yeah, he did. So that was super cool.
I think this was kind of I don't want to say nail in the coffin for them, but this was their way back into the game, right? And then this is exactly what happened earlier, where like if you flub a top lane dive, you're not gonna you can't do this. If you're behind, you flub a dive, you will lose the game.
Yeah,
and so FlyQuest ended up being put in this position, which by the way, Cassian, as the game progresses, Cassian just dies left and right. He dies bot lane, getting chased down by LeBlanc. He dies mid lane again. He dies in all these situations where he could possibly die.
Punished with no mercs for
against. 100% I know if this was a European region, the mid laner would have mercs. Like it's just not even a question because he's against Lulu, Ashe, LeBlanc, Elise. That's 4 CCs. The Lulu, which 100% you're not avoiding. And the Ashe, which hit him, I think 2 out of 4 team fights, you get Merc Treads in this situation. It's like I can understand getting CDR too, because it's like, okay, well, I need CDR. It's really important because if I hit 40%, like I can team fight constantly. But he didn't get that. He got really he went for Sork shoes, and it was so bad because if you saw how the team fights broke out, High was constantly frontline, getting hit with the CC and just evaporated before he could ulti out. It happened like 4 separate situations where, by the way, like P1 fumbles this game into a situation where you're just like, oh my god,
they're gonna lose.
They're 10k away, but they gave up an ace and a free Elder Dragon. Like potentially they can lose this game.
Yeah, they clearly didn't know how to siege against Caitlyn whenever she has already set up traps. Scarra was saying you could just reset the traps as Caitlyn, but trust me, it has a pretty long cooldown for all 5 traps. If you ever see, so the most prominent one, I don't know if we're skipping a lot of shit, but was the one up at top where they've had both inhibs down, but they wanted to fight at FlyQuest's top inhib turret, and Caitlyn had all 5 traps down, and Balls hits another great, okay, I guess we did skip with that big team fight, but Balls hits another great ult onto Arrow, his second one, in fact, that launches the whole team and Arrow gets exploded. But these traps just set up so much pressure that it's hard to kind of wade your way through it. You, like, even if you try to play like pretending like you don't see them, you subconsciously will always like kind of play around it, and it gives the opposition, the Caitlyn team, so much space to play around. And as you can see, they gave up a really bad ace, and Caitlyn gets like her 5th item off that.
Let's talk a little bit about Balls this game. So at the very start of the game during draft, I'm like, okay, so FlyQuest is essentially depending on Balls to carry the CC during team fights, and that's not something you want to give someone that's like entirely skill shot dependent. It's like for consistent initiation, you're looking at stuff like Ash Arrow is the most consistent initiation in the game, and maybe
it's like point and click stunts. It could be Annie. Annie's probably the most.
Yeah, really
Annie,
simple
Lysandra.
stuff.
Yeah, just straight can't fuck up.
Instead, they have to depend on Balls to hit like the most ridiculous ultis on the backline in the middle of team fights to win team fights when they're behind. And what does he do? He hits 2 great ones. Yeah. Actually, he played the
Balls
team fights.
Falls Graku versus Nori. Sure, it's different roles, but the whole concept's the same, man. Balls played so well, and I'm sure FlyQuest kind of kicking themselves in the feet for that 2v1 dive, because it makes you really wonder like what happens if they had not died there, because that could have been their saving grace. I'm like willing to wager if FlyQuest had like 5 minutes more time or like 5k more gold, they probably would have pulled it out, because man, that ace was just really bad.
And a lot of people wonder like, okay, so what made this a big problem? Actually, if you look at the game, I think one of the big things to look at is like Nori didn't do much with his lead. If you think about Nori, think about this champion. He starts 1-0-1. He has full control of mid and jungle, and he doesn't super snowball lead into a way where I thought that the game was over. If they're getting put in situations where it's like, sure, he's maybe controlling areas, but he's not like actually converting them into like objectives or kills. That's kind of what I thought about Nori this game. So while his like early thing was really good, kind of going into mid game, like it was definitely like you saw instances where FlyQuest just starts taking over with like 2k gold deficits, 4k gold deficits. You're at a position near the end, like Kiwi said, where they can potentially lose the game. But unfortunately, luckily, High L9 saves that idea and just dies in the next team fight. I think he gets Lulu Poly, and he's just like...
Lulu Poly, and they have 1 of 4 CC left, or 1 of 5, I guess. 1 of 4 because 1's down, Lulu Poly, to just kill High, and that's what happened every time, because Cassie can't get close at all. It's like, it's the same way people feel when they play LeBlanc into Lulu, or like LeBlanc into Annie. You like, man, you get stunned, you're like, man, fuck this. So that's kind of happened. All right. So stop making fun of my English. Come on. All right, kicking myself in the foot. Yeah, you can't kick yourself in the. All right, whatever. I'm a fob, okay.
But yeah, so for the most part, one of the things I thought was just a really bad buy by High. It might look better in hindsight, but I think even during the game, he should have realized that MarkZ was just a superior buy in this situation.
I like respect what he's doing. I hate whenever people are behind and they just build super defensive. For example, when you see
QSS,
it's like an early QSS, but it's like that's kind of a harder parallel to do it. It's more like, actually, no, that's a good parallel. Yeah, it's just like you're like when you're behind his ADC, you're gonna get ignored anyway, so you might as well build as much damage as you can. That's what High like wants to do. Like I totally respect like his way of thinking, but when it comes to, like how much CC and like what's right and wrong, man, that's like pretty off.
Yeah, this is a situation where maybe you can get away with that on AD carries of long range. They can tend to play fights on the outside. Right. Cassidy cannot do that. He has to go in.
Yeah, he's melee, and he's on a poker. That's pretty much it. You're gonna get CC'd, and you're not a tank. So it's that. You're not a tank. You gotta get close, and you're squishy as fuck. So I guess that's kind of redundant.
Yeah,
tank, but whatever.
So, anyways, P1 eventually wins this game. Even though FlyQuest could have maybe turned the game around.
Yep.
It didn't matter.
Yep.
So, any last words on the series so far? Like, generally, did you like it? Did you think it was bad? What do you think?
I thought it was really good. It kind of boiled in the end to be like a battle of the jungler. I think that's like what the jungler's role does now. It's just kind of he snowballs the early game, but he doesn't snowball all the way. Like I feel like the jungler snowball kind of always fizzles out now due to I think they nerfed the experience on the camps, the scaling of that. So it's just up to both junglers to get their mid laner going, and that's kind of what happened like each game. I don't really recall the first game that much, but yeah. Game 2 and 3, you saw what Moon did for a high, and high popped off. And then for game 4 and 5, you saw what Inori did, and then Ryu popped off. So it kind of just depends on which jungler is kind of feeling themselves at the moment.
Yeah. This series was actually, I predicted 3-2. It was actually a really close series, even though I was worried it wouldn't be. I was both impressed. The first thing, the direct takeaway for me is like Zig is the real deal. Going into next split, Zig is going to be a monster. That's what I think. Like, this guy, if he's able to keep up consistent work ethic, and from everyone that's talked to Zig, this guy is like a great person to have as a teammate.
He's such a nice person to talk to, and
like he doesn't have much of an ego. He's a hard worker. Like this is the type of guy who like you want to work with, and if he can go and keep like a consistent pattern of growth, going to summer split, this is he's already a top 5 top laner. He will contest the top laner is for sure next split.
There's like nothing better than a person who has no ego but he's fucking good. Because usually like people need ego to like carry their confidence because that's what makes a great player. It's their confidence in their plays and just playing in the zone. But with someone, and generally that confidence is filled by ego, like I said. But if you don't need that ego, which kind of causes a lot of disagreements with people, you're just a great person. I'm sure like every coach he's been with, I'm pretty sure they say like, man, I love working with Zig. Because I'm sure I would too.
Yeah. But on top of that, I thought that the series went exactly what I thought. Where it was like if High and Moon could go off, they'd win. If not, it'd be different. I was impressed a little bit by Altec. He did play some games well, some games not too well. And Arrow was kind of the same. I thought he played most of the games well. Right. And then the last game where he got knocked in multiple times like Gragas, that was Balls playing well, but him also somewhat positioning poorly because he should have known that the only way they lose the fight is if he gets hit with Gragas Zero. Like, just straight up.
Yeah, he also had Flash both of those times, so it's kind of, I think he was just playing a little sloppy. But, he played pretty solid. I think I read over here that NALCS gave him MVP. Who would you give MVP? I already know who my pick is.
It would be a jungler. Or it'd be Ryu. Well, actually, let me think.
I think... I think I was gonna give it to Zig.
Actually, no, Zig is...
Yeah, I think he played well every game. It's a little harder because, sure, we said that the match was pretty much jungle-based and turned into mid-based, right? It's only jungle-based because it's so mid-based. But, yeah, I definitely would just give it to Zig. He plays... Man, he plays like a rock. I know that gets said a lot about him, but he's just so consistent. He gets those solo kills. Yeah, he gets those solo kills. He gets that solo pressure. Oh, they gave it to Zig? Okay, good.
I mean, he played well.
Yeah, he's so freaking good.
He played really, really well. Actually, it actually sucks because I was talking like especially on my other show about Beyond the Rift about how there should be more international events and why MSI doesn't feel that important to players because only the top team goes. And the third place match, like we even came in today, we're just like third place matches for points, but like how much does that really matter? I think that if this turned into, it'd be really cool if going to the future, MSI turned into just another Worlds. And if you thought about it, they're ramping up production every year. They're trying to pimp out MSI like it's the next big thing. You know, this is like the new thing, the new cool thing you want to have. And so if let's say the third place match turned into a fight for a chance at MSI, and they sent 3 teams again, it's just another Worlds. How hype would the third place match be? Like people would be like. It'd be more important the second place match for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? I have to go to this shit. I was planning to go to a pre-release for the Magic.
I stopped Kiwi from going to a pre-release to watch this game. But if there was something on the line, he'd be like, let's go, let's watch these games.
Yeah, man. Come on. But no, for real. If there really was like something... What did they get up? It's just champion points?
It's points. It's like the difference in 20 points. It's like 70 and 50 or something.
Holy
like that.
Shit. Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna argue that it isn't a lot, but it's like intangible at the point, and people don't fight for that as much, and especially fans. I don't. Maybe I'm speaking. Maybe I just have the wrong mindset as a player, or as an ex-player.
Even as a fan.
Yeah, like no, especially as a fan. Like nobody cares about how many points they get. Like, oh god, yeah, P1 got 50 more points. God, wow, that fucking sucks for FlyQuest. They probably. I think they're just happy to kind of play, or some of them are just happy to play there. But
I
God,
think
there's no stake.
Yeah, I think going into next season, like if either of these teams don't make it to Worlds, they're not going to be like, wow, dude, Spring split those 20 points, man. If only we won those, we would be at Worlds right now.
It's only 50-30.
Yeah, but like,
holy shit.
But it's like instead,
it's 70-20.
yeah, instead they'll be like, we should have just played better to win. Like, I don't see people using like their Spring split success as like a defining factor for why they didn't make it to Worlds. Like, if they wanted to make it to Worlds, just win.
Yeah. And yeah, usually the people who make it first or second are the ones who kind of get the most points to go to Worlds anyway. So it's kind of not a big deal.
All right. I deviated a lot from the series. Is there any last words you want to say? We talked about Zig a lot. We said the series was pretty close, pretty good, mid-jungle dependent, but Zig played fairly well.
Yeah, I guess I want to turn attention to maybe the bot lane, because I did used to play that role, and I feel like we haven't given you much about the bot lane and how they've matched up. There's nothing I really want to shout out in general. I guess Shady did perform better than I thought. He's like stood up to Lemon. I know a lot of people don't really know Lemon or praise Lemon as a really phenomenal laner, but it's so good that I'm glad. I guess I'm just glad that Shady didn't get walked over. I'm a really big like proponent of like rookie players, especially ones that like aren't superstars. Like Contracts, yeah, I wouldn't feel bad for him if he like messed up here and there, because he's already known to be good. But the people who start out at first have like a really hard time and can get really knocked down pretty easily, and it can be really discouraging if you get like a bad kind of like first impression, like a first rep. So good job, Shady.
All right, well, I would say that wraps up our coverage of the third place FlyQuest vs P1 match. Before we leave, usually we end every time with a small Q&A, so I don't see why there should be a different thing today.
Let's do it.
What's going to happen is, since we have the chat here, and I don't want to use Twitter because it looks kind of weird, you can just type us questions in chat. We'll look, we'll try to read your question, we'll answer your question, and hopefully answer your question. We'll answer however many ones that we would want. So this is a great time to ask us any questions on your mind.
All right, let's hear them, guys.
What are you doing nowadays, Kiwi? They didn't hear you downstairs.
Oh yeah, you guys didn't hear me downstairs because the audio was super good. I'm at Riot now. I'm trying to become an engineer. Right now I'm working like as a QA on the release team. We make sure every patch is like as bug free as possible. There's always gonna be bugs. I'm sorry, guys. Like, please don't blame me if there's bugs. Actually, if there are, you guys should use the Reddit mega thread. It's actually really helpful for us. Or you can even tweet at me if you guys are lazy to use that Reddit, but it really helps. It would, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do. If you also, one thing, if you guys ever get bug spots, please send them, because I actually look at those. I like try to fuck with the stat keys. So yeah, just send those tasty bug spots. I know everyone hits don't send, but yeah, you can even leave me a note if that makes you feel better, because there's like an email and comment thing. So
all right,
there you go.
What matchup do you think you're most excited for tomorrow?
Oh, like in
the TSM versus...
Oh, I'm a really big Smoothie fan. I don't know if many people know this, but I fucking love Andy Ta. So I'm really excited to see how he matches up against Biofrost, because it's funny because they're like I think they're like almost two of the newest, barring Shady, like support players, I think.
Yes.
So I think that's fucking awesome. I can't wait to watch how the bot lane plays out, because right now I feel like the game is so mid jungle dependent, and I guess sometimes top, that yeah, I never really watch the bot lane anymore, because sometimes I feel like everything they do doesn't even matter. So
I'm of the opposite opinion. I think bot side is super important right now, but you have to be tangibly better than your opposing player to make an impact off of it. So
right,
if it's close, you're not gonna get much, you know?
Yeah, sure, yeah. I guess like I know what you mean. Like at a certain point, the difference in skill, if it's too wide, is way better to put bottom than mid. Or, I think that's what you mean. But yeah, I think right now with the teams being so like closely matched, to get that, usually you build a big advantage through small ones and just kind of edge that up. That's usually built through the jungle and mid support. So that's why, yeah, usually I kind of ignore bot lane.
I am excited. What about you? I'm excited for ᵐᵉᵐᵉ versus Jensen. Well, I'm a mid lane man.
Yeah.
Dude, are you serious? Yeah. These two players are so good.
Even as a bot laner, holy shit, that mid matchup is gonna be crazy. This honestly, holy shit, ᵐᵉᵐᵉ contracts too. What the fuck? All these are so good. Ray versus. Holy shit! This is such a good.
Like I think this is like one of the best and closest finals we've had in a long time.
Yeah. Holy shit!
And so I'm actually really excited for this. But obviously, let me explain. I don't even know if I need to explain this. ᵐᵉᵐ and Jensen are the two best mid laners in the region. Like I think I definitively say that Jensen is, in my opinion, the best laning mid laner in the league. ᵐᵉᵐ being the best overall well-rounded player. Both of these guys are absolute monsters. They have unique pocket picks. They're really, really good. And every time they play against each other, I'm just like, oh shit, they're good players. Like, there's stuff that you want to be hyped about. These two players are players that, if I had to send mid laners to Worlds, I send these two. Because I know they'll do well.
Yeah, that feel when I picked objectively the, like, probably least interesting matchup. Because, now that I think about all the people who are playing, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. There's, like, every player is good. Like, every player is so freaking good. So, it's going to be such a good match. Even, like, historically, I'm not going to call out names, but usually the finals match, dude, there's just, like, one or two players that, you don't see as, like, the top of the region, but, in this case, it's kind of crazy.
If there's any situation where that's true, I think the junglers have had, like, pretty weak, inconsistent, like, normal season games. I think both of them have done better as we've walked into playoffs. And so that's good.
That's good. It's way better to, like, have a little spurt at the end of a season than, kind of have a decline. So I see what you mean.
Okay.
Why are there so many Lyra memes?
Oh, it's because me and Mark talk about Lyra all the time. It's because we have, like, a hard offer. Have you watched Lyra?
Yeah, he's fucking good.
He's actually, like...
Yeah, he's, like, the best player in MV for sure.
We voted him... we were voted for him high in the MVP ranks.
Oh,
really? We were just like, this guy's a monster.
I guess I never really thought about that. But when I watch MV, which I sometimes do, I'm like, oh, this guy's actually pretty good.
His early game actually carries them so hard. Like, it's actually disgusting. He out-jungled almost everyone. But, no, okay. Like, let's stop talking about him. Did you hear what happened? Envy's officially said they're replacing Ninja.
Okay.
Cool. And they're going to try out a bunch of new people. What do you want to see? Do you want to see returning?
Golden Glue.
Oh, Grayson Gilmer.
Can I get some Vault Boys?
He comes back under Envy as... No, I actually think... I'd be curious. Do you think if... So a lot of people develop bad reputations over time as players. And some of the ways they take to counter that is to just change their name.
Yeah, I think...
Do you think this is an option for... Do you think Golden Glue should come back and he should be like, call me?
If that's something that helps him, but for some reason I feel like Grayson won't, aka Golden Glue, won't really want to do that. I don't think it really phases him. I think he doesn't really care. I think. Okay. It kind of seems like that because he's wearing his Golden Glue tag like loud and proud in Korea. Like he just, it's a straight up Golden Glue, I think, or maybe even teal Golden Glue. I forget, but he doesn't. I don't know. I felt like if it did affect him, he would have already changed it by now. But he doesn't. He's been smashing some people over there, and yeah, I don't know.
You see the people who have done it in the past. Like I don't know if you guys remember Apollo.
Remember Apollo? There's Jensen. Or did you want to elaborate?
Darshan. Oh yeah, like Apollo, for instance, was. I don't know if people actually have good things to remember at Wiz Fusion. I actually think that he was like good when he first started, and then people like thought less of him, and he changed his name. And first of all, Apollo is his real name. His name is Apollo Price. He's got like the superhero name already built in. He doesn't need to similar to Darshan, just changed to his real name. Jensen changed to his real name. But he was like a person that like maybe could have benefited from people being like, oh, you changed to Apollo, you kind of redo your outlook. Yep. And then you become like a player that has a new record, or like as new of a record as you can get.
Yeah, it could be good for Golden Glue. If that's what he needs, that'd be great. Mid lane is like the most talent stack right now for NA, I think. Actually, what is it?
I think
jungle?
I think jungle is. I think
That's
jungle's
top.
pretty hard.
Top's pretty hard
Top,
too.
top breaking into top 6 is really hard. But I think maybe at the
Yeah.
bottom you can influence a little bit. I think support's pretty open ended. The bottom 5
Right.
are like
Yeah,
essentially
yeah, I
replaceable. 80s, I think the bottom 3 are like maybe kind of up in the air.
Sure, yeah.
And then mid laners are like, you want to play mid in the LCS? Good luck.
It's it's just so hard to get good or like get in the top 10 as a mid laner right now. There's just so many talented players. Which is pretty much how it is. So yeah, that'd be cool with Golden Glue. Let's think about other options. I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure either.
Another
man.
Korean mid laner because it does open up in
Yeah,
but
like people are
I
saying.
I don't know how good they are.
Yeah. Would you like them to test on a new rookie Korean player, or do you think they need someone who's like got? Do you think they should go for like a new talent or talent that's already been there, like good talent that's already proven themselves? Because this is the world split in the summer. Do you think they should experiment or stick with tried and true?
I probably would go for experiment. I think it's like worked out pretty well for NA. It's important. It's a lot harder though because you can get that tried and true, but if they are keeping ᵐᵉ and Lyra is Korean, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, if they are keeping, then I think it is okay to not go with the tried and true. You can go with the rookie because communication might still be similar. I do like kind of feel for the bot lane though. I don't know how fluent Lyra is, but it can be really tough getting through hard times just without communication because that already that lack of communication already brings you the hard times, and then just fixing something with that broken communication can get really like heavy or just really hard because just explaining things is just really, it can be really difficult. So yeah,
I say get Apto.
yeah, let's get Apto. That'd be, God, I would love to see Apto play here. But
If Apto was in it, instantly my favorite team. I would go back into interviewing just to be like, Apto, dude, let me ask you 100 questions. Just sit down with me. We're gonna take a couple hours. We're just gonna chill. I'm gonna talk to you. Apto, for people that don't know, is my favorite player of all time, or one of my favorite players of all time.
yeah, I want to see Apto versus Jensen.
In season 3, so many people mid laners I talked to told me that they watched Apto VODs over Faker to learn how to play matchups. I personally watch a lot of Apto VODs to learn how to play Castan and Orianna respectively.
Yeah, that's exactly why I brought up Apto versus Jensen as opposed to Bjergsen.
Yeah,
because I want to see the laning.
Jensen literally said he looked up to, or he followed and watched a lot of Apto VODs.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, that guy is actually a monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
I'm
go.
done.
Next question.
Anything else you see there?
I think we just kind of put it into like a fest, but we probably missed some questions, I bet.
You posted Apto on Reddit and got downvoted. Yeah, of course you would. That's a stupid idea. Why would you ever put that?
Will someone ever make it back into a comp that's made to shield the ADC? Well, the thing is, so I want to just make sure everyone knows that Sona actually isn't made to shield the ADC. The way you phrase it makes me feel like Sona is just kind of only for ADC. Sona is more of a kind of team like dynamic player. And right now, if you want to shield the ADC, there's already Karma and Lulu. So honestly, the question, and we have concrete example from the games today, and I think throughout the whole, like almost all regions, that the answer is no. Sona is not made to like just shield the ADC, because right now that is the meta. You do want to shield the ADC, but Sona's not that good for that. Sona is better for a comp that can bring people together and get picks off for ult. People are a lot better not clustering for ult now, and if you can get a 2-man ult with Sona, that's considered a great ult. Usually people use her right now for like a fast pick, and as long as the game is like super fast paced early game, Sona will not be good because she provides nothing besides her. She practically provides nothing when she roams, because there was a gank today that Lemon did on Ryu with Karma that got them the first blood at like level 3. So Sona will never be able to do that, and as long as you don't provide anything pre-6, as long as the meta stays that way, it's, I don't know. I can't really see Sona being a good champion.
Consensual Clown's playing the champ a lot. I think that's the right player. I see that game played the Lulu, and I see it smashing. I'm just like, is that actually a good pick? It's weird.
Hey, it does have a pretty strong laning phase, so if you can bully hard enough and turn things 2v3, that's great. But yeah, it's still pretty hard to like extend your lead. You need to have the focus around bot lane, and right now the focus is around mid and top.
Oh, I'm like reading these questions. I'm just like, oh, I don't got one.
I about the BTR thing. I still need to watch that. I don't know what he said, but you know, I don't know. I guess I actually have nothing to say against it because I haven't seen it, so I can't really. But people did say it was pretty bad. I don't know. It's like
no, he just flames you. It's actually that's all he does.
Oh really? Just straight up flame?
No,
like actual flame?
No. It's like joke. He's like,
Oh.
yeah, Kiwi sucks dick at support. Like he's a terrible player, and then that's it. And then he just went back to it. That's it.
Oh.
I mean, you can watch it.
Nah, that's fine. Yeah, maybe I'll watch it someday, but
all right,
it happens. Like I honestly like was not the best support, so hey, if it makes you feel better, it's fine. Yeah.
That's brutal, man.
What?
Okay, all right. Enough about this. The chat already knows my prediction for tomorrow's match. I put 3-2 TSM last week. You have not yet ever said your prediction. Who do you predict to win tomorrow, and why?
Let me think about the match really quick.
C9, TSM, TSM C9. One has Hanser.
I'm gonna
Axe male model.
Yeah, you can't keep a straight face with that one. I'm gonna give it to TSM. I think their experience will carry through, and they're just gonna have it. Just like with Ray. I don't know. Do they play with mostly Ray now? They seem to, right?
Alternate. No,
they actually alternate.
Yes.
I guess I still want to give it to TSM though. They have like a lot faster comms, and maybe that hiccup of communication will give TSM the edge over C9, and they're a really good team right now. I don't mean like a team like everyone says like yeah they play pretty well, but I mean the team as in like a kind of teamwork wise. They seem to play off each other very well and just a little bit better than C9. So it'll be pretty close. I'm gonna give it to TSM like 3-2, 3-1.
That's my guy, dude. That's my kid.
All right, yeah, give it to TSM 3-2, 3-1. Yep. What about you?
I put TSM 3-2, dude. I think for
Okay.
for TSM, the only thing that I'm a little bit rocky on is maybe the jungle matchup is swayed towards Sven. I think especially if Sven gets Lee, Sven's Lee is like nuts. Like this guy's got like one of the best Lee Svens I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On top of that, maybe C9's bot lane just stomps Turtle and Biofrost.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah, exactly. I actually think Biofrost and Turtle have gotten better, as well as through playoffs. Like they've gotten better in lane, so I don't really expect it to happen. If it does, I can see a situation where if Sneaky gets Lucian, and if Lucian pops off, that champion is almost unstoppable. That
right.
You just like don't recover from that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, aside from that, I'm good. Would you like to end the question and answers today? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Let me scan it really quick. No team can beat SKT.
Oh my god.
I used to talk to Cutie Pie for a little bit. I guess I should talk to him again because I want to just clear up some stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see. It's fine. It'll be fine no matter what. It's like I don't understand anything that he wants to do. So I guess I am a little weird.
You know what? We're calling it, guys.
All right.
This is the end of post-league time. If you are new and you don't know where to find the VODs, you can find the VODs on my YouTube channel.
No drama.
At youtube.com/ScarraOfficial. We'll have the VODs up tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll have a new special guest. MarkZ, for people who don't know, weren't here with us at the very beginning, is up and stuck in Vancouver because he went and took a job without me. He got paid to do it. Just I'm not salty. He's up there and he's interviewing after the LCS game. So because of that, I've brought better co-hosts than him to compensate. First one up is KiwiKid. Again, thank you KiwiKid for coming. Thank you so much. The second one tomorrow is Tony Gray. With him may or may not be joined by Plop Goldman, the brains behind the operation. I don't know if we want that leaked yet, but that's the guy who you want to know stuff about. Anyways, Hopefully, also tomorrow we will not be in a ghetto room setup because I will later tonight after we come back from eating, I will redo the setup at the bot or downstairs and figure out hopefully how to fix all the problems. We fixed 2 of the problems. The third one, the buzzing sound, the thing that we still had problems with before. I am not sure how to fix, but I'll get it fixed tonight. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Again, thank you, Kiwi, for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Any last words from you, Kiwi?
Not really. I guess I do have some last words. Sorry, I kind of been disappearing. I've been like trying to work hard on myself, and yeah, I do miss you guys, and I don't want it to feel misleading. And obviously, actions speak louder than words. But man, it's just so hard to find time to stream while I'm like working pretty much like 10 hours a day. So, I mean, yeah, sure, technically I could. You guys give me shit, and I still love you guys. But yeah, I'm sorry, I guess. Because sometimes I feel like I let a lot of my fans down. So, yeah, send in your bug reports.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll be back, or I'll be back here tomorrow. And God bless KiwiKid for coming this week. See you guys.
See ya.
And I don't have an end page screen, so we're just gonna end the stream cold.
All right, let's go cold. We